afternoon to you all right here, University 97 FM. Xtreme Sport is a go on this beautiful Saturday afternoon in the year of 2025. Episode number 2, someone calls it. Hey, if you're going to go back down the years, you're going to count lots of them. You'll also count lots of titles for Manchester United. They're feeling so happy this week. Not a loss, but the cup is around. We shall be talking plenty of cup. We had some... appointments as far as disappointment was concerned for some major ones in the semi-finals, while of course in the rest of Europe the leagues are back in full force, but you could say partially, because some of them are still in the Middle East looking for some major monies. We shall be talking about all those European leagues, of course, like I said, Cup weekend, FA Cup, it's all about that this weekend in England. But of course, right here at home, we are at the halfway point of the Uganda Premier League. We had some games this week. We shall be running through all that. Plus, of course, giving you a halftime report. And talking plenty of stuff right here at home. Some basketball. Big things happening there. And not forgetting, rugby does return to action. The league. Some big money is being dispersed this week. We shall be telling you all about that. And not forgetting some news from all over the world. Xtreme Open, by the way, getting underway. We've had some injury scares for so many of the bigger names. Not a surprise in tennis anymore, but you can be a part of the show by tweeting us at 97FM Radio City or giving us a call on 0703979797 or 0786979797. That's after, of course, I do hear from the lads in studio. Phil,
yes,
good afternoon.
Yes. Good afternoon to you, Pius. A good one, I must say. And for starters, I come bearing greetings to you guys from Pius. I think yourself and I last weekend passed by the go-karting place in Bugolovi, Meraki. I went there yesterday to fulfill my... I didn't drive, unfortunately.
You were too big for the cars?
And no, I was... on that note, maybe this invitation shouldn't be extended to Tabuan Isa, but...
Would I fit?
I think you would. Your legs, though, have another story about that. But anyway... Yeah, I was watching over the kids as they made rounds, and they sent greetings to you guys, and they said that maybe one day I should pass by with the team.
Is it big versus young?
No. They didn't go into those details, but yes, it's been a weird week, of course. Politically, a lot of opinions in this country. Considering the death of one of, you could argue, the most beloved members of parliament, the late Kawempe North Representative Muhammad Segirinya. But in terms of sport, you said it's a cup week, it's cup weekend, it's been a cup week. Of course, it comes at the tail end of a crucial Premier League weekend, last weekend, where none of the top two won. Arsenal dropped the ball. Liverpool were also, in my opinion, surprised by Manchester United. Of course, those games will be broken down a little bit later on in the show. But we might be getting ready for a cup final that has Newcastle taking on Tottenham in 2025. And boy, oh boy. However,
your money will still be on Newcastle.
At this point, maybe they look good. They could possibly be. You look at the form table in England. They are possibly the best team in England right now. You look at Newcastle, the last 5 games. They've won, at least in the Premier League, won all those 5, scoring 15 goals, conceding only 1. So they're a form team. But it's allow me to jog your memory with the 2006 World Cup final. It was a weird tournament, low-scoring tournament. We get to the World Cup final, and it's France versus Italy. And the story is just there for everyone to see. I think Malouda was fouled in the first 10 minutes in the box. Zinedine Zidane steps up, takes a beautiful penalty, and it's 1-0 before the 10th minute. Malouda was fouled by Materazzi. About 10 minutes later, I think it was Pirlo that swings in a corner and the aforementioned Materazzi equalizes. Within the first 20 minutes, that World Cup final was 1-1, a goal from Zizou and Materazzi. It ended 1-1. In extra time, Zinedine Zidane, in what was his final game, he goes ahead and beats Materazzi with his head. Zidane was shown a straight red card. Of course, he never got to serve it because that was the moment he retired. And Materazzi, who, by the way, converted this penalty later on. But there should be a lesson therein. And I think Arsenal fans should know that you can't go around using your head to beat people in the penalty box and not expect a foul to be given. This week, I've seen a lot of commentary from Arsenal fans saying, I think the world is against them, the referees are against them, the VAR is against them, apparently the balls are also against them. They dropped points against Brighton because one of their players beat a Brighton player with his head. And apparently when you beat someone in football, according to them, with your head, it should be okay. History suggests it's not okay. You can't go around head-butting people. So I think that's something we should not pay, or we should pay enough attention to. But 1-1, it ended against Brighton. And at the end of the day, missed opportunity, because little did we know that 24 hours later, Manchester were actually going to be united against Liverpool. Mm-hmm. But yes, excited about the start of the Australian Open. Controversy in that regard as well, but those are things we'll get to a little bit later in the show.
All right. I wanted to pick your mind about the upcoming Australian Open.
Oh, you did? I was saying.
First Grand Slam of the season.
First Grand Slam of the season, like it always is. Of course, on the men's side, you have to look at Yannick Sinner. Mm-hmm. I think he dominated 2024
on and off the court.
and off the court is really important, but on the court, last year the 4 Grand Slams were shared between Sinner and Carlos Alcaraz, with Yannick Sinner winning the Australian Open and the US Open, Alcaraz winning Wimbledon and the French Open. Sinner finished on a roll as well at the end of the year. He won the ATP finals, also guided Italy to the Davis Cup. They won that as well. He was just on form throughout the entire calendar year. He lost only 6 out of 79 matches in 2024. However, when you say off the court, last year still, Sinner failed 2 drug tests. Now he was cleared by one of the ATP or whatever, but that case was appealed by the World Anti-Doping Agency, and that case will be heard on the 16th and 17th of April 2025, which means Yannick Sinner, the world number 1 and defending champion, is eligible to play at the Australian Open, but that might be the last. I strongly believe he will get minimum 6 months, maybe to a year. I really, really believe he's going to be banned for failing those 2 drug tests. So this is important to him. Like I mentioned, Alcaraz last year also got himself at least 2 Grand Slams. He's a kid, really. He's 21, and he has already won every Grand Slam apart from the Australian Open. So if he wins it, starting next week, he will actually become the youngest player to ever complete the career Grand Slam. And that is just unbelievable. It's just at 21. Yeah. It's just unbelievable. I
know maybe he's not one of the guys who's been mentioned, but you talk about the doping thing, and the US this week withholding money for WADA, 3.6 million. Over what they say they need serious reforms in anti-doping, because I think their biggest concern comes with the Olympics 2021. Tokyo, I think there were around 23 Chinese who were cleared to take part in the Olympics when they had already failed tests. So this was swept under the rug, basically, because WADA got the explanation from the Chinese that they were at a restaurant and all of them got contaminated. These were all swimmers at a restaurant and passed. So
and it's a case of at least with these tennis cases, there is another one. It's not just Yannick Sinner. Iga Swiatek also has one. I will get to that maybe in a few seconds. But now it's WADA themselves appealing because they feel the tennis federations were very lenient. Because what the ATP said for Yannick Sinner's case is they believed Yannick Sinner's explanation and they said it wasn't his fault. Yannick Sinner said he was given a massage by one of his masseuses who had a cut finger, and the masseuse used this cream on his wound and then massaged Yannick Sinner without gloves. So that's how the chemical gets into Yannick Sinner's body. And the ATP cleared him. However, WADA said they cannot come to a conclusion that Yannick Sinner has no responsibility. They said they believe him, but he have a certain responsibility. So it's now you can see the pressure from the US making the World Anti-Doping Agency go a little bit harder onto some of these things. So we'll expect that. But
staying with the men though, do we have any injury worries this time around? It seems to be a familiar case, especially with the women, but what's it looking like for the men?
Unless you want to bring me up to speed to some, I think...
So we expect a full complement?
We expect a full complement, a complement that includes Novak Djokovic. Of course, no one has won anywhere the number of Australian Grand Slams Djokovic has won. He has 10 Australian Grand Slam titles. He's looking for his 25th Grand Slam title overall. Of course, heads and above Nadal and above the now retired Federer. For Djokovic, I watched him get beat recently in the first round of by Opelka, one of those upcoming Americans, and he just looked a shadow of himself. He's, I think, 36, 37. He's no longer the same Djokovic. He comes in with new management. Andy Murray is now his coach, and this will be their first Grand Slam together. But yeah, we expect a full complement. Watch out for people like Alexander Zverev. Taylor Fritz had a very good last year. There is this new kid, Giovanni Pecci Pericard. It just looks very good. Don't forget that name. That name will be a household name in tennis.
Combining an Italian and French name.
Yeah, but then, like you said, on the women's side, I think it's a bit straightforward. World number one Sabalenka, in my opinion, is her favorite to win this. She's looking for a third consecutive Australian Open, by the way. People you expect to stand in her way would include Coco Gauff, who is in very, very fine form. And she's one of 3 people that can get out of Australia as the number 1 seed on the women's circuit. Coco has been on fire. She won the WTA finals, won the United Cup, I think, last week. Only 1 Grand Slam under her belt. But, yeah, it's a little bit, for me, it's closed off. I expect a straightforward Grand Slam title for Sabalenka. But talking about the world number 1 in the women's circuit pairs, it's a bit far-fetched for Coco Gauff. She needs to pray that Sabalenka is knocked out before the semifinals, and also that Iga Swiatek doesn't make it to the 3rd round. And I don't expect any of those two to happen. For Iga Swiatek, she could become number 1, but she has the highest possibility of being world number 1 after the next 2 weeks. She could even lose in the first round and end the tournament as world number 1, because last year she got knocked out in the 3rd round, which means she only has 130 points to defend. In comparison, Sabalenka has about 2,000 points to defend. So it's it's one of those. Swiatek also has a drug thing, also part of the criticism coming in. For what happened is, I believe she failed a drug test because of apparently medicine that was given to her to treat a heart problem. But that wasn't the issue. When she failed that drug test last year, the governing body of tennis, they sat down with her and they banned her, put ban in quotes. They banned her for 1 month. I think that was about it was about September or whatever. But with Swiatek, at that point, the governing body didn't announce that it's because of a failed drug test. She also gave a press conference and she said she's stepping away for family reasons and all that stuff. It's later when she comes back that news is she has actually been serving a doping ban. Of course, that has come under a lot of criticism. So, yes, there's a lot of pressure on the authorities to be a little bit harder, be a little bit straightforward with their communication and bans, but also it taints some of these things. Imagine Swiatek and Sinner both win the Australian Grand Slam, then 2 months later, they are banned for having failed drug tests. But that's the state of tennis right now. And I will tell you, I think Sinner is going to win it. Sabalenka, in my opinion, will win it as well.
All right. The other controversies, of course, that have come alive as the tournament gets underway. If one of you has followed Destiny Ayava being criticized for wearing old clothes. She's been seen wearing some old stuff. I think it's Sharapova dress from like 4 or 5 years ago. Anna Ivanovic, did she retire?
Anna Ivanovic?
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. She's been seen wearing some of those very old clothes, some of the old stars. This is weird.
Sharapova, I wouldn't mind anyone putting on Sharapova and maybe Anna Konikova at a year. Those are beautiful ladies.
All right. Peter Tabuova. Good afternoon.
Nice. No chance. Good afternoon, Pius, and of course.
That goes to women, right? So you put the.
Yeah, a bit of a break from weekends that have had back-to-back interesting and exciting action, both here and of course the international scene. Of course, in England, the Premier League getting heated up. At least that's for sure. The last time the games were played, a lot of cup action across Europe, Spain, and in Italy. Excuse me. Spain and in Italy. But yeah, back here at home, there's just quite a lot to consume. You've got the swirling rumors of the 3 Oilers players who could be on their way to Namongo Blazers. Yeah. That rumor is rife. Is becoming rife by the minute.
I will watch every game of the league next week if that happens.
If that happens, yeah, of course, if that happens, we have a different story altogether. Then, of course, the league coming, the first round coming to an end, and Chan and all that. So yeah, good stuff coming through, and let's dig in.
All right. Some of your highs and lows. This is Joseph Kato says, thanks guys for the show. Mine were AC Milan beating Inter to win Coppa Italia Cup. I also enjoyed Man United's performance against Liverpool. So they were almost asking for water. Lastly, Ahmad signing a new contract to stay until 2030. Yeah, we've had some contracts being signed by Ugandans to exit, but we'll get to Chan later on in the show. We promised to talk about the Uganda Premier League at its halftime break, but we had games this week. I'm told Albert lost his voice, but he was not at Kacheka to witness KCCA's historic win in very slippery conditions.
You had to add slippery. There was no rain for them.
It was always been for them.
There was no rain in that game.
Let's continue.
Yeah, of course, KCC, man, really tough for them, because the first 8 games in the UPL, they really were flying high, but after that, the remaining games of the season, they've, I think, managed only at least 2 victories or something like that. The rest they've picked up losses and draws. just unfortunate that most of their players have gone off the boil. Osama Arafat, they've also struggled with injuries up front. Derek Sibambi. Then you also have Sadata Naku, who came in, but he's not hit top form yet as well. And then you have Dana Kwikiriza, who has also gone off the boil. Saidi Mayanja. You'd argue they have been unfortunate that most of their main acts have been off form, and that explains why they've struggled to win. But wrapping up the first round with that 2-0 victory away at Kacheka was a huge win for them. They are now 27 points in third position. They I think 7 off table leaders Vipers. So you'd argue that they can go regroup and maybe ask a few questions in the second round, because they're not so far off.
All right. Of course, my question though has to be with the fixtures. Chan, that allowance doesn't seem to have been made in the fixture list. I think when Chan kicks off, it will be a weekend for Cup. Do they intend to play while Chan is going on?
No.
Because we shall not have the stadium, I want to think.
No, CAF can't allow that. Everything comes to a halt.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they try to push so much that the league first round ends before, just before next week, and that they've done so well. The Cup will stop. Nothing will happen apart from Chan. Yeah, so the draw is next Wednesday, and after the draw is done, I think then we move closer and closer to Chan each passing day.
Of course, we still have, of course, squads to talk about. Just remind you of those results from midweek to round off the halfway point of the Ghana Premier League. URA beating Police 1-0. Bull could only draw with Wakiso Giants 1-1. Villa facing a resurgent Kitara way could only manage a loss, but well done Kitara. They continue to climb up there. NEC struggling for goals, but one was enough for them away to Mbale Heroes to secure a win. We told you about KCA's 2-0 win over Mbara City. Vipers a day earlier had beaten Maroons 1-0. The goals have dried up also, but Bright Stars could only draw with Rugazi 1-1, while UPDF, their strange run of games continues. I can also say it's a strange run of results for Express, who suddenly are... I don't recognize this Express, Peter.
I don't as well, because towards the end of the first round, they didn't seem like a team that was going to finish where they are right now. But tell you what, a couple of important victories that they picked up, beating Sports Club Villa, beating KCC FC. Their problem is administrative, really.
Yeah.
And they're a team that you never quickly judge, because they lose players midway the season and bring in new players as well. There's a bit of a mix there, but you have to give Kadu Badru Mukasa his flowers, because he's the one who has turned the tide around at Express, despite everything that is going on. Can they stay there in the second round? I think if they don't put their house in order administratively, then other teams are going to catch up. Now, that's maybe the top 4 for you. Mm-hmm. The mid-table has Villa, URA, Maroons and all. Okay, we'll get to that in a bit, and then the teams battling for relegation.
Yeah, that is Wakiso Bright Stars and Bale Heroes. We'll talk about the Ghana Premier League in a bit. What we want to hear is your voices, 0703979797 or 0786979797. Call us up and tell us what your highs and lows have been this past week. Like I said, you can also tweet us, just like Paul Banks has done. Says, cheers, my good people. You're my high. Low has to be Arsenal and Arteta. He's now becoming a nuisance. 3 years in a row, and we shall lose to United this weekend. Also, Phil decided we lose money in January. We miss Issa, he says.
Yeah, of course, I must apologize for costing you guys money last weekend. I was terribly wrong to tell you that Arsenal was going to beat Brighton. That didn't happen. I apologize for putting all that faith in the Gunners, and sadly, they didn't win. So if you lost money by believing me that Arsenal were good enough to beat Brighton, I apologize.
This is when you know we are in a new year. Phil is being... We'll take both of those calls. No. First call.
All right, Radio City, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Big Gang.
Yes, Gang Ken.
Then Ken, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Kenneth.
Okay. Now, you see, I've always told you, minus this quarter of Arsenal fans, the English rivalry in football is between Liverpool and Manchester United.
Okay.
So that draw was so key for me. In fact, one of the things that will save that man is that at Anfield, is that shape. Na itwasura mabala nenze narokoka anyway.
Yes.
Oh my God. They're talking of headbutting. One of the things that motivated me to support the zoo, the man could hide the ball on top of his head, and the opponent looking for the ball, they could not see it. But now I'm saying that I'm going to the want to I'm sorry to Bagulava. Hey,
oh, yeah, the movie.
Yeah, it was no wonder he used the head he was going by.
Thank you so much, Ken. Happy New Year to you.
Yes, Ken. Happy New Year to you, Ken. I will take some more of those calls. Just 103979797 or 0786 97. Hello. I think we.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, good afternoon from Xtreme Sports.
Yes, good afternoon. This is Muchiri.
Yes, Muchiri. Talk to us.
My high finally have gone through.
Oh, that's good.
My law is the Chelsea performance, of course.
Chelsea.
Yeah.
All right.
We are blowing cold for some reason.
Not won any of the last 4 Premier League games. Muchibi.
And yes, please.
You think your Chelsea will still finish in top 4?
Yes, I actually do.
Okay.
Yes?
Yeah, then you're okay. Some of us are starting to worry for you.
It's the way Arsenal is also performing.
The problem I tell you might not be us. The problem might be Nottingham Forest.
By the way, it might go. It's making surprises.
Yes, their next Premier League game is at home to Liverpool. Are you going to support Liverpool or Nottingham Forest?
I won't support Forest. I don't wish the Premier League to look like a farmer's league with the guy taking it.
All right, Muchivi.
Yes, then the other thing is, are we casting a J guy? Are we casting a J guy? United is going to win that one for sure.
Oh, the FA Cup game between Arsenal and Man United. So ababika berevede kutwala ebirango. Yes, sir.
Guys, Happy New Year.
Kawa, Happy New Year to you, and we are glad you went through, and yeah, thank you.
All right, we'll take some more of those calls, 0703979797 or 0786979797. Just call us up and tell us what your highs and lows have been this past week.
Radio City.
Hello, Radio.
Yes, hello to you.
Good afternoon, Phil.
Good afternoon. Who are we talking to?
You are speaking to Ibrahim.
Yes, Ibra.
How are you?
We are fine. Talk to us, you guys.
It has been long. I'm in the village, but finally I'm already sitting online.
Oh, that's very good. That's very good.
And we are in Kabrimide. I'm here with some big boys here. We are tuning. We are just enjoying the program.
For starters, greetings to everyone listening in Kabrimide. We love you guys.
Yes, we are welcome. Hope you know Kabrimide.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Anyway, thanks for the show. We are just enjoying. I was just telling them this is the best station. We are always tuning Kampala.
Thank you so much.
Please for me, those boys were mine in jazz.
All right, then. The boys downstairs. Cheers.
Yes.
All right. I was going to ask him before, I say, whether he was just stuck after Christmas.
Because he said he's still in the village. No.
Or maybe these are one of the guys who've lost money to you, Phil.
No. I don't understand the fascination of people being in town or being. I keep telling whoever can listen, as long as you see me in Kampala, you know I'm still struggling. The day I make it, I'm stepping out of Kampala. I'm going back to Luoka to just live the rest of my life with monkeys disturbing my plantations and birds singing for me. So I think the vice versa is true. People that are staying out of town, it's known that they are stuck there. That is where we would love to be, at least most of us.
All right. Some of those calls, 0703979797 or just 186979797.
Radio City, hello.
Good afternoon, Papa Phil.
Good afternoon.
With the whole crew in the studio.
Yes. Good afternoon.
Juma is here live and kicking.
Juma.
Yes.
What's up? Talk to us.
I'm frustrated.
What is it now?
Chiboko is not enough for Ateta. Now let me remove Gabriel Jesus. Is Ateta who Kumbe deserve much Chiboko.
Ateta needs to be cane Chiboko.
100%. But now what I'm going to do, I've been holding my bottom of the heart for over 20 years. Waiting for some glories. As I had been remembering Arsene Wenger, I failed. I was trying to do some research about the year that unbeaten run in English Premier League by Arsene Wenger. Those are the areas I would have sent Ateta to go and do maximum research. That, hey, Muse, how did you really came up with this format to earn yourself unbeaten run in that very specific year? The man is redundant. Is just focusing over Raya is doing best, Saliba is doing best, Gabriel Magalhaes is doing best. You don't, when you want to become a champion, you don't go for the positive side only. You go where actually the challenges were at the maximum of that very team you are running. You go there. Those are the areas which will give you ingredient to build up your team to be very, very, very well cemented.
So you're saying Arteta is not doing research?
Okay, he is doing research, but is lacking so many things which can bring him to glory. Only one step for Ateta. The method of acquiring trophies. He has all the calibers, he has all the guns, can shoot long calibers and short calibers. He has all the necessities, but what is lacking? Only one. How can one win a trophy? That's why, that very 2 seasons only, I could raise Ateta right now and say that no, being ahead of Manchester for those time when Ten Hag was at the Old Trafford, I think Ten Hag would have been better than Ateta. What with the fans, over 20 years, we have been patient more and more and more. Now, till when? Phil, today, Juma is declaring to the whole nation Uganda, I'm going to be donning my jersey of Arsenal from Monday. If tomorrow Man U beat Arsenal, from Monday, I will no more call City for talking of Arsenal is the best. I will just keep quiet. I will just don myself as Arsenal. This is the late.
You man.
Are we together?
Yes, but you're saying if Man U wins, you're going to put on your Arsenal jersey the whole week.
Not the whole week, for the rest of my life, but I will never talk anything about Arsenal. I will keep everything in my heart. No one will. And those who will force me to talk, please take distance from me. Okay. I'm now fed up with my Arsenal. I wish you the best for the 2025, the remaining matches.
Thank you so much. And also, I think the world can do with some silent Arsenal fans. So we will not discourage you. Please go ahead with your protest.
Thank you so much. Continue.
Cheers, Juma. We'll take some more of those calls. 0703979797.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, who is this, bro?
This is Pius.
Oh, Pius. You sound a little bit over the rock with the Satan. Talk to us.
So my eye is Leverkusen beating Dortmund.
Your high? Leverkusen
beating Dortmund.
Okay, Leverkusen beating Borussia.
Yeah, that game was Hello, Zabita Deta. Ateta timu ya Fensima na kumanya.
Ateta nawe chogamba mufu.
Nimyageta otoite kubo kyatuwa kimegezi.
Ne man mwera mangu gamwabona temwabalira ko bamukyamusanvu batyaku ngamubonye nga Ateta tanajja.
Wa nekati towaite ebyagwa nekati towaite akola.
Chogamba Ateta bamugire.
Ateta timu ya fajireke.
Bamugobe.
Bamugobe to kyakolera dde.
Ani gwoyagala. Gundi Moyes by the way Everton emututte azzeeyo ku Everton David Moyes. Ateta bwagenda baleetaani Moyes taliiwo kati.
Bantu wadde okuwa Leverkusen oyo.
Coach wa Leverkusen. Kale papa.
So nature Manu egenda tukuba kyenda ba.
Manu egenda banyiga kyenda.
Enda kiramba.
Ngamulabye.
Ateta situ.
Kale weba payasi. Abakyala bagambe tubatumidde man.
Gwe feel. Kye kiriwo man.
Anze mbadde nkugamba just abakyala abo bagambe tubatumidde.
Abakyala oyo omwami gwoyogedde naye yabatwala.
Omwami oyo munafunye olaba ogwenkagutidde leero. Oyo simutya naawe.
Agutidde leero yalwadde n'okulwala kati lwa mupiira.
Ogwenkagutidde leero oyo naye anemesa okubuuza ku bakyala bange ab'emukono.
Yalwadde naye kati osobola okubatwala mu eno season.
Bwe just abakyala bagambe fiira abatumidde bo beesalirewo.
Kale
papa weebale nnyo.
All right, cheers. Let's have one last call.
Good. Radio City, good afternoon.
Hi, guys. This is Odoi, 256.
Yeah, man. Been a minute.
Yeah, man. Phil, I think I agree with you guys. Arsenal fans are overreacting. I mean, actually, this reminds me of Tottenham at some point when they went into the Champions League final and somehow they felt like they had got to sack their manager. So he's given them a lot of hope, and in history, the Bourbon?
The Bourbon, yeah, or the French thing.
How can you relate them with Arsenal fans?
They learned nothing.
Thank you.
Yes,
bye.
They learned nothing and I think forgot nothing. Yes. So giving us some French lessons there. Thank you.
I know I said that's the lesson, but...
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, what's up?
This is Aaron Mutongo.
This is Aaron in Mutongo.
Yeah, doing well. How are you guys? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you as well, man.
I just like the protest what Jim has just said. That you find again after certain time, the pain has been relieved and is back on saying the same thing of happening. That is a spirit as fans.
Yes.
That is a story also I said sometime back when Manu was doing bad. But when they were trying to come back on like victory, and then Van Gaal was sacked, and then I was like, there's no future Manu is going to have. And they are still suffering about that. But the recent coach, I think they should give that Amram time. Those old guys, the so-called Rashford, the captain right now, Bruno. I think those guys they should just leave. That guy has his own squad. That's what I believe.
But my brother, as a person who supports Man U, who has been suffering for a while, as a person who supports Man United and you've not seen glory for a while, don't you think these Arsenal guys are overreacting? And this is why I say that. They are still, I think, second or third in the Premier League. They are still in the Champions League. They are still in the FA Cup where they play Manchester United. They are still in the Carabao Cup semi-final. They are still in 4 competitions. And aren't they over? And are they spoiled?
I can. Let me just cut your talk short.
Yes.
I can tell you categorically that the reason why they're having that pressure is because Premier League is more recognized than an FA Cup. I remember you telling some time back, discussing with Tabu, that Liverpool is in four cups. But at last, they did not win Champions League, and neither did not win the Premier League. But they took, I think, a Carabao.
Yeah, they took a Carabao.
Like
yeah.
So the much valuable cups are what fans value most. Liverpool, the other features of going trophyless will come later. I think that's why they have that pressure.
Okay, but do you think Arsenal might go trophyless?
To see the way it is going, let them try their best in Champions League. But this other trophies, I'm seeing Liverpool taking the Premier League.
Okay.
Seeing Man City, I think it is in the FA.
Yes, Man City is still there. Even Newcastle.
I'm seeing FA to Man City.
Okay.
And then the Carabao, I see Spurs is going.
Carabao Arsenal 2-0 at home to Newcastle.
I don't think they will come back.
Okay.
The way that guy, I really value that Isaac, and I think he may make a mistake to go away from Newcastle because I watched that guy when they were signing him. I think that is the best club for him.
Now you're left with Champions League because these three you're saying they're not taking them.
The Champions League is not coming to. I don't think Liverpool is bringing that Champions League to England. Though I'm so addicted to any club from England, but I doubt.
Okay, so you say Arsenal.
Other guys who are ever the champions in other leagues, and I think it will go somewhere.
Okay, so you're saying Arsenal is going trophyless. That is what you're saying in all these words.
I have a feeling like that. I really believe my feelings is success. I don't think so.
Okay, yeah. I want. Thank you, and I don't think I have what it takes to disagree with your opinion. They are your feelings. So.
Xtreme Sport Radio, this is 97 FM, back with some of your highs and lows. This is Mark Ashley. Maybe not that Mark Ashley.
Sport Direct.
His high is Newcastle beating the Toy Guns. And now you know where the name comes from.
Yeah.
But he should be loathing Mike Ashley.
Absolutely.
Anyway, and his high is us in studio. He says big up to us. We'll talk about United on Monday when we beat Pepe. Nice one. Anyway, let's first leave the leagues. We'll get back to the European leagues in a bit. I want to just focus squarely, first of all, on the Uganda Premier League. Where would you draw your line as far as the teams you feel could be in trouble as far as relegation is concerned? Besides the bottom three, we have Wakiso Giants, we have Bright Stars, we have Mbale Heroes. 15 games in, 3 points separate those two teams. But just above them, you have Lugazi and Mbarara City. Mbarara City, for some reason, forgetting how to play football. How dangerous is this poor run of form they are in?
It's very dangerous. Like you said, they are not so far off the table, especially in the red zone. I wanted to go down a bit and then come back up to where Mbarara City are. But I can tell you for sure that being 13th on 14 points, just 2 adrift of Wakiso Giants, 4 adrift of Soto Bright Stars who are 15th, and maybe 5 adrift of bottom place Mbale Heroes, doesn't really paint a very good picture. Now, Seri Arigumaho was their only man who was carrying them through situations. Unfortunately, he was the only one. He needed support, and if Seri doesn't score, Mbarara City in a difficult spot. Now, there is also talk of Mbabazi leaving his role as head coach of Mbarara City. I think there was an audio that was shared and was speaking about him not returning to the club and stuff like that. So then it makes it harder in the second round if they don't put that house in order. So that's for Mbarara City. Now, the other teams, it's been a rough ride for Mbale Heroes, who are bottom.
I was going to ask, did they come back too soon? Or
no, I felt like...
we all celebrated their return.
Because it's a community club, based on a community club ideology and all. But I think the fans have made it a bit too hard for the team to play in the league. they meddle a lot in the business of the running of the team, and they also don't respect the people who are investing money in the team, and that has become a really bad situation. I mean, you
sounds like on Paraka 2.0.
As a fan, there has to be a limit. You have to allow the powers that be, to actually operate and help the team perform. If you don't do that, then you're in trouble. So I feel like that is they didn't help the situation. You've seen what happened to Asaf Mwebaze. There were incidences where fans wanted to beat him to pulp just because of results. But also what the fans forget is the quality of players that they have. I don't think they brought in the right players with the perception that they have. The players at Mbale Heroes are not the ones that could get you on a winning run of maybe 7 games straight. They're just not. They're just not up there. But somehow the Mbale Hero fans think that they have top players. So when you combine all that, it becomes hard for them to, beat that drop. Ideally, for them to beat the drop, they would probably require maybe 25 points. Add them to this 9 in the second round.
They would really need 3 the next time they play, because the next time they play, they will be taking on Mbarara, I believe.
Yeah.
So I feel like Mbarara wins that game. That is Mbale relegated. They win it. They drag Mbarara now firmly into this relegation fight. But Mbarara wins that game. They create some separation. So
I don't think Mbale Heroes, they'll have to dig extremely deep to actually survive the drop. But let's move to Bright Stars and Wakiso. I think
perennial underperformers. It's like the season has now. This is the season where the chickens have come home to roost. They've always been. Yeah.
They've been. I don't say hiding, but they've somehow been avoiding the drop and this situation. But now it's they're in there.
Yeah, my question specifically about Wakiso is why has it failed to endear itself to Wakisoians? Are they called Wakisoians?
I'm not sure about
Wakiso
that.
Knights?
Absolutely not true.
People from Wakiso, tell us what they're called. Yeah, but it doesn't seem to capture people's imagination. Who are Wakiso Giants fans?
I think they're fans that are from Wakiso, really. Kavumba, around those areas, the Wakiso headquarters, as far as Kachiri, if you know that road, then I think that those are the fans that are supposed to be massive fans. I mean, supposed to actually support the team, and I think they have quite a sizable number of fans when they're playing home games. The thing though is that they've lost a number of players over time, and they've not replaced them exactly. So it's been hard for them to have that continuation. They have young players. They have a bit of senior players in the team, but Stephen Bengo and Tony Moji, I think, have preferred to give the younger players more playing time. And the experience is not there. For example, they lost Kenneth Chimera to Vipers. They brought in Hudson Mbalire. He really doesn't have the experience to carry the team, but he scored a few goals here and there. Now, Wakiso play very good football. It's just that they can't put the ball in the net. I would urge it's the same thing with Soltilo Bright Stars. Nelson Sekatuka has 1 goal in, I think, 15 games. Fefo Adu scored 15 goals last season of 14. This season is not a good return.
It's quite the climb down.
Yeah, so you have to look at other options, but they're also not scoring. Shafiq Kakande and Rodin Bunjo. I think their top scorer should be Warren Bullet, a centre back with, I think, 2 goals. That's not a good return if you're Soltilo Bright Stars. I think then both Wakiso and Bright Stars have to, boost up that team and see what they can do in the second round. Otherwise, they're in trouble.
All right. The team I didn't mention there is UPDF and Lugazi. Lugazi has the same number of points as Mbarara. I don't know how their season goes. But
they also have the problem of scoring goals.
Yeah.
They have 8 goals, conceded 5. 14 points in 15 games, as many draws that they've racked up in there. Not a very good sign. I think they are in the same boat as Mbale Heroes with the quality of players.
I was going to say quality has been...
But the difference is for them, they are well financed, they are well motivated, the monies are there. But now the players who make a difference, I don't think they have them.
So you're saying Ugandan footballers don't like... quality footballers don't like playing in the East?
I don't know why.
You've been talking about quality players lacking at Lugazi and Mbale. Anyway, so UPDF, no shocker there.
No shocker, but they are not so far off the red zone. I can't sit here and say they are safe. They also have work to do in the second round.
All right, when we come back from the break, it's a very brief one. We shall be talking about the mid-table lurkers and who of the any can probably join the party at the top, because Neck and Vipers seem to be cruising at very even pace. Let's take that very short break to move. Xtreme Sport Russia Radio City 97 FM, back with some of your highs and lows. This is Abbas Lutaya. Says thanks for the show. High is Nuno and how he says performing. Low is how fans react to some games. Forgetting that a derby most time can go to the weakest side. All right. That is okay. Back with Lucas Floyd 15, who says his high is Rashford's situation right now. Amorim finally getting rid of player power. Low is Everton reappointing David Moyes. I mean, that club lacks ambition. A club that once had Ancelotti. Well, the ambition now is not to go down. So if it works, then it has worked. But anyway, back to the Ghana Premier League, Peter. And I want to talk about those mid-table lurkers. When I look at Maroons, I don't think they have a prayer as far as having much to say this season.
No,
or even breaking into the top 4.
Surprisingly, they lost a number of players, but they've remained afloat because Freda Marco was their go-to guy with goals. When she joined Chitara and a couple of other players, they lost a couple of other players as well. So, yeah, for them to be there is credit to what they've put together. Maybe if they don't have injuries in the second round, they can just be around there.
No. You talked about Chitara themselves. We thought they were going to kick on from last season. They went and did some substantial business in the summer. I know we call it summer, but
summer in Uganda.
Yeah. It was still the summer window. But why couldn't they kick on from there?
They had a lot going in their camp. I felt there were so many players, and Brian Senyondo could not satisfy everyone, and so those that weren't satisfied, brought that negative vibe into the team, and everyone was affected. And if you've been in a team setup, even those that are not playing really have to have a positive mindset. Otherwise, you're going to have a situation where everyone thinks that they're just not good enough to play, and that becomes hard. So after that, you also add the fact that the pressure was on, the team mentally was out, they were not winning games. So Senyondo leaves, Wasabosa comes in, and we know Wasabosa and fixing situations. He did that well.
He fights fire with fire, first of all.
Well, you know what was most incredulous about that?
Yes.
That in the first 5 games, they scored about 25 or 30 goals.
Yes.
It's not Wasabosa like. Where did the goals come from?
It's not Wasabosa like, but he's the kind of guy who preaches belief in players. He will tell you that you can walk through that wall. It's until you're stuck to walk through the wall that you look back and ask him what's going on. But I think it's that character who can convince players, who can motivate players with or without money. And also the players wanted to prove to the management that they can return to winning ways. I feel that also drove the team to perform better. And all of a sudden, Butema became a fortress. They started winning from there, started scoring goals like Albert has indicated. And now, if it wasn't for that bad start, you would put Chitara up, beyond where they are right now. But it's not too late.
Yeah, they picked themselves up in December, November. That's some good results. Drew with Vipers. I think it was 7 goals, 6 goals, scored 4 goals twice. They've been looking good. The goals have dried up now. But what do you think they can do in this window to get better?
They shouldn't do anything. They have a very good team.
Okay.
I don't think they're immortal. They will somehow reach a certain point and drop points like it has happened. But I think this first round break will give them a bit of...
And what is the highest you think they can finish?
I think they can really aim for a top 4 finish. Because they also don't have many players on the Chan team, by the way.
Top 4 is very, very gettable. I actually think they can still compete for the title.
They can still compete for the title.
Because last season, KCC lost 6 of their first 8 games. And at the end of the season, they were still in contention for the title until they drew that game at Kavumba.
Yes, I agree.
So anything is possible in the Premier League. In the UPL, it's not like anyone is running away with the league.
So talking about the title then, Albert, your case here with those many points behind 7,
They've lost too many points. They've lost too many points in the last 8 games.
Why would you back Chitara that is further back to...
No, I'm just saying KCC from the position in which they were at the beginning, because they shouldn't be this far behind. From the position they were about 8 game weeks ago or 6 game weeks ago, they've thrown away so many points, especially against opposition that they have no business losing to or drawing with. They've drawn too many games. So for me, that has handed the advantage to Vipers and NEC. But that said, we know how the Premier League, the UPL operates. 2-3 game weeks, you can look up and KCC is back at the top or in second place in a closer contest with the two at the top. But as currently stands, Vipers and NEC are firmly in charge.
So you're not putting any stock in Express to...
No. They're just not that consistent. We know they are going to get a spell where they will be Express, where players will say, but where players will say that they haven't been paid for 2 months, and results start to happen again, like the Chitara one, because of course there's still the investigation about the Chitara game. We don't know what the repercussions are going to be. We don't know if we wake up and Express has been docked 10 points. So anything is still possible because that situation is still out and raw. But otherwise, we know who Express are. We know the challenges that they have internally. And that's why it's very difficult to rely on the fact that they will be consistent to the end of the season.
So you're saying it's between NEC and Express?
NEC and Vipers.
NEC and Vipers. Vipers, we know what they're all about, or what they aren't. NEC, that is a bit of the unknown quantity. But from last season... They showed signs of being a serious team or a team to reckon with. What do you think has changed this season? Is it that the KCCs have given them a little bit of space to...
No, that can be an excuse. The Uganda Premier League has teams that are competitive, are trying and playing for something. If you're KCC and you're not pulling your strings together and another team is better, that's entirely on you. But on NEC FC, I think number one, at the start of this season, they did not lose players from last season that they had. They only just added, to beef up the squad. And I think in each position they have about 1 or 2 players. And what that means is that the team is deep, but also they have quality and experience. You look at a midfield that has Alan Mugalu, Mutiaba, Shamir Chimwero, all these players are right there. If one is out, another comes in, And for Ugandan football, you need depth, but also when you have quality and experience and it's working for you, everything falls in place. And that's what NEC is experiencing. Also, Hussein Balangu seems to know how to manage the team very well as a head coach with James Odoch. And the team is looking good. It's just looking good. You have Hannington Sebalunyo as your first choice goalkeeper. You have Benjamin Ochana as your second choice goalkeeper. You have Samson Kiria as your third goalkeeper. All these are experienced players. They've played in the league for a number of seasons. You throw any one of them in goal and they will still deliver. So up front, middle, back, NEC looks so good. The only question is the mind now. Have they been to a stage where they are fighting for the championship? Can they really go all the way? I think for me that should be the question.
And it's not like they didn't do deep cup runs last year, but Express certainly would want to have that pair that is driving next success back in their own colours, since these are boys who are family in their history. But question though for Vipers, we've seen in seasons past, if the biggest challenge to their title race probably might come from within. What are the signs reading like this season?
I think the signs are reading good. Why? Because they sensed too early that Nikola Kavazovic was going to sink them, and they sent him off packing. Now, the decision they made after is what they are riding on. They brought in Jonah Ayala Luyinda to work with Fred Muhomuza, and those two have done so well.
They actually have surprised me because I thought there would be a fight for supremacy because there are two coaches who are in almost the same realm of respect in the industry, and I thought that they would clash for the number one position, for one to have more control. It appears currently that they are working very comfortably in tandem, and they've been lucky that their two best players have been in the best form of their life.
Yeah, I agree with you, Albert. Mohumus, of course, having worked with David Obua, I think learned a few things about
big characters.
Yeah, big characters, and being a bit humble. Luhinda on the other side is a very humble guy, very quiet. So that combination has worked for them. You look at the league run that they've had. Only they've 4 wins, 1 draw in their last 5 games. That's some fantastic performance. Also, their back line is working well. Yeah. Their midfield is okay. Their forward line is also okay. Patrick Imboa is in that holding role. Moses Waiswa is also scoring a few goals here and there. At the back, Livingstone Mulondo is back scoring. He scored twice in the Uganda Cup, I think yesterday. Alan Okello is on fire. He has 11 goals so far this season.
Milton Carissa,
of course, is injured.
Actually, the only thing they have to worry about is Yusuf. He's the only one who is not producing the goods.
Yunus, sorry. Yeah, absolutely. I think if Carissa is able to come back ready after Chan, because he's going to miss Chan because of injury, then maybe you can.
Chan has come at the right time for Vipers because it allows Carissa to rest.
Absolutely. Yep.
So I guess there's a method to that madness. Vipers saw Wakiso do their thing, 2 coaches, and said, I think we can pull it off. So it's not a mad it's not a mad one over there. But yeah, nice that you sprinkle in the Chan issue here. And this week we get the squads provisionally. Of course, some major absentees. Why don't we start with those who will not be with us and why they won't? I know APR has taken a very much sought after Omedi. Are you disappointed that has been his landing spot, given the places that were being talked about way bigger that you thought were going to be more impactful in his career?
Until you understand why they zeroed down on APR is probably when you'll appreciate that. It is as good as good. Does that sentiment make sense?
For you, yes.
So go make that money. That boy is 30, 31. I doubt he'll ever have the form that he's had for the national team and for Chitara. Speaking of which, he's not scored a single goal in the first round.
There you go.
So that already tells you how tough it was going to be for him by the end of the season and his value. So yeah, Rwanda is a league that he can adapt to. And he can play and score goals for APR. So anyways, to the question, Hakim Chwanuka and Dennis Omedi are not available after joining APR. Milton Carissa is injured. Shafik Nanakwikiriza is injured. Ronald Sechiganda, I think, is playing on painkillers. Paul Put has a lot of work to do.
He's putting some names there that
but
are they of any consequence?
He's someone to Sam Arafat. For me, Fusama is good mentally and physically. He's someone who can help the team forward. He's also someone, Ivan Ahimbisiwe, who actually missed out in a shocking manner, because Ahimbisiwe has 9 goals in the league for URA, and for some reason, I actually thought
he hadn't been called. I
actually thought Ahimbisiwe should have taken Omedi's position.
Yeah, and the two of them, Ahimbisiwe and Mchurezi, being that on form, and both of them were ignored in the original squad that was released. And Charles Ruanga, I found it very interesting that they had been ignored. But I think Imsiwe has now been called in.
Imsiwe has been called.
Mutulez was also later called in.
Yeah, so maybe
Osama is playing terrible. I don't know how he made that squad.
No, he's replaced because now the squad is depleted.
Of course.
And there's not so many options for you. Osama played at the All Africa Games, I think, last year. And he was one of the top performers for Uganda. We reached the final.
Last season was the season of his life.
And we lost. So I don't think he has a bad spell, but he can put himself together and deliver. The big question for the Chan team now is the mental state. I mean, how are they going to have that character to rise up? Because not all of them have the experience to play at that level of Chan. But I don't think they have the opportunity, the luxury to actually wait on and not show up. They have to show up. They have no option. The Cranes are playing at home. And Paul Put has to devise means of making sure that we actually score goals, because that's our biggest problem.
All right. Score goals being the problem. But of course, now we wait and see how those preps go. We have the draw next week because we are in Port what?
We are seeded.
Okay.
Yeah, we are hosts. We speak with a lot of confidence. But wait when they say Uganda opens up Morocco.
But the opening game against Morocco. Meanwhile, Morocco is going to bring like under 21.
And the monies have been more than doubled.
Yeah, they've been doubled. The prize money is $3.5 million. That's huge. For the winner, the total prize money from the group stages to the final is $10 million. Okay. So back then, I think the last CHAN, Uganda, I think won and about 1.6 billion. We never leave the group stages, but we smile to the bank. Okay. Always.
You say we smile to the bank. Does it include the players?
That one is given to the FA.
I know. I don't think CHAN asks for players' account numbers and sends the money to each of them. But for example, when you say
I think what he said should give you the answer.
Yes, yes, but you say, Albert,
knowing the reputation of our FA,
we have fought these wars over and over again.
Yes, I know
and
exactly.
I keep saying this. There is a major update about the money that was sent to the FA of cricket at the World Cup. And they came out and said it's up to the association on how they share the money, whether they give the players or they give what. There is a major update that I will share at the end of this month, because now we know players actually have player power. So when I ask you whether the players, for example, you've said if Uganda win CHAN, they get $3.5 million US.
Yes.
Oh, of course, man. It's important to know that this money will get into some of the boots on the ground.
No, you're right, Phil, but it's to the discretion of the federation. And usually,
that is what they thought. I told you I have an update for
and
you.
usually when that happens, they communicate how much money the players will receive.
So briefly, there's been a shuffle around for the venues, especially the training grounds.
Yes, the training grounds has been a shuffle. I think Kadiba is now back on. Yeah. They're trying to make sure the grass is up and ready and available. We've always said Nambole is available. There's Kisu, there's Wankurukuku as well. They're renovating the stadium. I don't know if they're working on the drainage at the stadium, but yes, those are at least the venues that we now know.
Yeah, all right.
The latest picture of Kavumba I saw, it appears it's on course. Kavumba. No, sorry, Kadiba. Yeah.
But
the sprinklers,
that picture.
The picture was more about the sprinklers than anything.
It was shared by only one person.
Only one person from a very peculiar angle.
He's the only one who will be sharing content from Kadiba.
Yeah.
But anyway, we appreciate that he took a second.
That there is some work.
Yes, to show us what's happening.
All right. Albert was throwing in the dig for the football fraternity, but we are meant to understand our lineup for the next league season is not complete simply because the referees threw in their towels and said Temut Sasula. Important weekend, Albert. Playoffs.
Hey, I was wondering which referees you were talking about, because referees in general in Uganda
have the same
struggles. Considering we are talking about Kadiba,
at least they're not.
I thought those referees had also kicked up a storm.
At least we are having matches happening in the football. But go ahead.
Yeah, you're talking about the referees from the basketball fraternity. They had a conversation with the management, with the executive, and I think promises were made to them, and a part of their money was paid, and they agreed to come back on the court. I think they've made an arrangement with the federation, a private arrangement, on how the rest of their monies will be paid. So for now, they've been refereeing. This whole week has been quarterfinals of the lower leagues. The quarterfinals are done. They are now in the semifinals. Last night, a masterclass between iHoops, coached by iHoops, and Charging Rhinos, coached by two best friends, Ben Komakech for iHoops and Fame Sebatindira for Charging Rhinos. The Rhinos winning that game in overtime. Stellar performance from under 18 guard Edrin Ekau. They lead that series 1-0. Of course, there was also the one that followed YMCA Hamsters. They won theirs as well. So the two lead 1-0 in the semi-final series, which will continue today at Abuja Park in Naria. As we speak currently, the first game was completed. The second game is ongoing right now between our Sevilla Banyabo and Angels. That's Coach Angela Namilimu versus Tony Drileba and AT. Very interesting things there. Current national team players coaching different clubs in the lower divisions and getting some success there, that their teams are in the playoffs and in the semi-final conversation. So the playoffs will continue today at Abuja and tomorrow at Lugogo.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for that update. Of course, we are saving those to take part in the game. And also the teams are preparing their squads for next season. Of course, we have been hearing all about this Namongo Blazers coup that they are trying to pull off.
They have pulled off already.
How much excited should we be for the new league season?
Very exciting. Very exciting, even just for the drama of it. That you are going to see an Oilers Blazers game, and Tony, Oxy, and Jimmy are in red and not in blue. That's going to be very
sounds like
interesting.
Loop divorcing from FDC.
No, that sounds like Katonga and Najalankumbi.
I think they all want to claim the blue colors, but
it's very. I know for sure. I know for sure it's done.
But how does this tip the balance?
It does. It means that Blazers now plays Oilers without fear.
Yeah,
they play Oilers without the worry of this and this and this are what we don't know about Oilers. Everything there is to know about Oilers, with those three, they should know. But I'll tell you what else that for me, as a person who, as one of the people who are tired of Oilers winning, man, 10 years we look like fools. It's like we don't have a league. In that hurdle now, Escodata has 3 people that have won the last 12 championships, because Jimmy was also part of the 2 championships of Power before that. Yeah. So he has the people that have won the last 12 championships of Uganda. There is nothing he will need to find out in crunch time or in the playoffs or in the finals that those 3 cannot teach him. In the Ugandan finals, there's no corner of the playoffs that those 3 guys have not gone around to. Yeah. He has then also added a young player who has been very successful in the league, who has literally carried our savior on his shoulders for the last 3 years, Moses Mugisha. That's a guy who had a double-double almost every night. So he shows up the presence in the paint. Now you have 2 workaholics who are Ugandans that don't take away the ticket from the big men you have been using, who are internationals. So you have now Mugisha and you have Arthur Wanyoto. That is a good team.
Okay. I was going to say, doesn't that have a domino effect? I mean, surely City Oilers have to countenance that by strengthening their team. Of course, unfortunately, it would probably mean raiding some of the...
They have to. Their team was lean last season. Yeah. Their team was really lean last season. And with the changes that have now happened with what Blazers have got, the Oilers have to respond. They have to show up. They have to pick up some people. Unfortunately, the place where they always pick up, nobody is graduating.
They only have Walid.
The one that is graduating, Sifuma, has already gone to JT Jaguars. I'm hearing that Kevin Kasovia, the backup point guard, who sometimes started, is going to Kampala Rockets. The only other player leaving UCU in that group is Jerry Kayanga, who has already gone back to South Sudan.
And Titus is also not happy with the Oilers, so you never know.
That is you. I don't have that information.
I apologize.
Tell us.
I'm not his agent.
Tell us, please.
But the Oilers have not. Their players have not been very comfortable for the last few years. There are some things that have gone on inside there. You don't know enough from the outside looking in. There are things that they won't tell you. Personally, I have a bit of a relationship with actually I have a relationship with the owners of that club, the managers of that club. So I know that because based on that relationship, there are things that players don't tell me. But I know for sure that there have been some discomfort. That discomfort shows in the three legends of the club leaving at the time they left and in the manner they left. And who's to say that more players won't leave? So there's always a likelihood that someone moves. But say whatever you may, it's going to make for a very, very interesting season. And it's not just, we talk about the men's side of the game, and we forget the women's side. There's some changing skins in the women's side. JT went out and got the two national team players that have graduated from UCU. Shakira, the point guard, and Shakira Namvubia and Azida Nabayunga. Add those to what they already had that was already causing trouble last season. They do two things for them. They provide more cover for Roda Najita at point guard. Roda now, I think, becomes the backup point guard. At the three-man position, they have an Azida Nabayunga who could play both anything from 2 to 4. And that provides help for Ageno, who had to play 39-40 minutes every game last season. Or Maimun and Abosa, who also had to play heavy minutes. So now Azida takes maybe 10-15 minutes from each one of those, and you creates a lot more balance. I think they are still in the market. Maybe they get one more person, but even if they don't, now the front line...
One thing is that they're not going to have playmaking problems.
They will not have playmaking problems because they have literally 3-point guards. Because Priscilla Nambogo from Nabisunsa, who played her first season in Jaguars last season, is good enough. You remember she was captain of the under-18 team before that, when she had the Lamunus and whoever, Sheila Lamunu. She is capable of playing at point guard. So they have 3 people who can play at point guard. They have enough bodies at shooting guard, and now they have shored off their front court. It's crazy. I can't wait to see the game between JT Jaguars and UCU. It is basically UCUA and UCU Annex.
It will be like that, what do they call it? That Spider-Man meme when they're pointing at each other.
Yeah, when they're pointing at each other, that's what it looks like. Then, of course, on the national team end, the 2 national teams are going to be they're going to be busy in the month of February. The Gazelles are supposed to travel to Cairo from the 3rd to the 8th of February to play the Zone 5 qualifiers for Afrobasket. The winner of that tournament qualifies for Afrobasket. The number 2 has to wait for feedback on wild card from FIBA Africa. Then 2 weeks later, on 20th, the Silverbacks are supposed to travel to a destination that's yet unknown, because FIBA hasn't announced who is going to host the last round of qualifiers for Afrobasket. So the Silverbacks have games between 20th and 23rd for the second round of qualification for Afrobasket. So by the end of February, we will know if both of our teams are going to Afrobasket 2025.
Yeah, just a small bit on the NBA. Of course, games postponed on the western side because of those crazy...
Because of the fires.
People have lost houses. I think the Lakers coach...
JJ Redick lost his whole family estate.
Yeah, crazy stuff.
It's been insane.
Yeah, but just a few nuggets to point here. That crazy winning run for SJ and Co is now firmly behind them.
They landed into those 2 towers from Cleveland.
You could say the 2 best teams without the Celtics.
No, they are the best 2 teams. The Celtics lost another game today morning to the Sacramento Kings, 28 rebounds by Domantas Sabonis. He destroyed them in the paint, and that's a problem the Celtics have always had. But the other 2, OKC and Cleveland, are firmly the best teams in the NBA right now. Until further notice.
Albert, with humility, that's when you know 2025, new calendar year.
Basketball will humble you.
Talking Boston.
Yeah. Zion is back and he's dunking.
He's in shape. I've not seen
like that a month ago.
I've not seen him this. Yeah,
were they trolling us with older videos?
I think they were probably trolling us with older pictures because there's no way. There's no way he cut this amount of unless he did a liposuction. There's no way maybe. There's no way he cut this amount of weight in just a month. So it's probably something that's been going on previously, but he's in shape. And then he immediately gets suspended for team something, flouting team policy or something like that. So they suspended him for last night's game against Philadelphia 76ers, but he's available to play and back in action tomorrow.
All right, we're taking a very short break. When we return, some of your highs and lows and plenty of European football. Xtreme Sport Radio, Radio City 97 FM, back with more highs and lows. This is James Shazemutai. Happy New Year to you. You say your high is Liverpool, still top of the league. Low is the draw against Manchester United. Happy New Year and cheers, you say. Paul Banks is back. He says, is it possible to see a Leicester story happening with Nottingham going on to win the league? Because teams below them and on top are getting shaky. And why can't we sign a good striker? I think it means Arsenal. Phil, would you answer those questions in a bit?
Yeah, no problem.
Sure, we'll get to those, Paul. This is Odoi Joseph. The pronoun ini or jame. All right. Do you see City coming back? Okay. Comment on Rashford's dilemma. That Ugandan boy who moved to the US. Fantastic transfer for him. Revolution.
Yes, it was.
MLS. It is.
Our guys have struggled there.
Yes, they have. So comment about him and why can't UG attract top leagues? I don't know what it means. Like UG players go to top leagues.
I also don't. I missed that, but I think I think it meant why
our agents are sleeping on the jobs over.
Yeah, Albert is doing a good job in basketball.
I'm not an agent,
but I don't know what's happening in football.
You should be.
Ugandan league not attracting big players, of course.
I don't know about us. I want to think his question is why don't our players go to big leagues?
Our players don't go to big leagues because they're not well prepared. Okay. I think that's something that we've said.
And we don't quite have the pipeline here like that is developed like in West Africa where guys have specific academies that are just set up just to farm players to
and
Europe.
Football knowledge. By the way, speaking of which, watch out for an interview with Mike Azira, the former Cranes player. Who was,
on pitch side?
Yeah, on pitch side, who has invested heavily setting up a football school along Hoima Road. 25 acres, 2 football pitches. Crazy. It's crazy stuff.
I did see you had Eddie Kenzo on pitch side.
Yeah, I had. Is
he still interested in football?
He is. He's running an academy.
Okay.
Helping underprivileged kids. Just like he was when he was on the streets, when he was a young boy. So he picks up all those kids and looks after them, then, distributes them to different schools on bursaries, and they keep playing and studying. Those that drop out are replaced with those that want to study. Which is an amazing thing.
Mr. Msuza, or is he Mr.
Msuza was a decent defender in Lake Mburo SS.
I saw him quartering at Villa when I was a lot younger.
I saw live. I watched him live. He played against us.
Unfortunately, at that time there was a certain Mubiru who was running the team. It's not.
His attack is not that bad as well.
Yeah. Anyway,
considering he has.
Considering it broke through some
ministerial lines,
some cabinet walls.
Anyway, in Europe and especially Spain and Italy, where they've sold their soul to the Monaco. Anyway, the cups have been going on there. Of course, we saw AC Milan beat Inter. Did you see this man's celebrations? Sayo Conceição's celebrations in the dressing room. Everyone talks about him as a tough cookie.
He got. I think his uncle got a problem or got a cut, and he had to be worked on. Yeah, but before that, when he was at Porto, where he spent the most part of his career, there's that meme of him, with him holding a cigar and he's dancing around.
He actually pulled that move in the dressing room.
Yes, that excitement when his team wins. So incredible.
But we are going to enjoy his press conferences because he says some of the craziest stuff. I don't know, him and Joe Mazzulla, but maybe you've not heard enough of Conceição.
Joe Mazzulla is the best. I don't need to hear Conceição. Joe Mazzulla is the absolute best.
So him last started talking about mumbling.
Mumbling mumbling to Jalen Brown.
Jalen Brown, that is
he killed me at the end when he said, I didn't understand.
Is it the mumbling or the injury? Anyways, so Como will be hosting Milan when they are back in action on Tuesday. Inter hosts Bologna, while Juventus having that Turin derby today. La Liga, Phil, this has been also dramatic in its own way. Vinicius Jr. taking all the headlines for clashing with I don't know. I find it hard to be in his corner. I'm sorry, but
he's difficult to like.
Yeah.
He knows exactly what his challenges are in Spain, what the problem is going to be, and he plays right into it all the time, and then goes and acts victim. Yeah. I don't get it.
If he plays Gavi today,
of course,
Gavi will remind him how he lost the
in the game they played. In the game they played 2 days ago on Thursday night, they played. I think Mallorca. Someone took a dive. I forget who the player was that he was in a battle with, and he didn't touch his face. He shoved him in the shoulders, and this guy just grabbed his face and rolled all over the floor. Thankfully for Vinicius, the ref was right on top of it. But he's difficult to like.
Yeah, by that game is tomorrow, the final between Barca and Real Madrid. Like I said, Gavi is in that one. I would want to hear him say something to sort of Vinicius about that loss of the title. But anyway, Atletico Madrid will be in action against Osasuna tomorrow, I believe. Of course, yesterday we had a fantastic one in the Bundesliga between Dortmund and Leverkusen. Anyone watch that one? Clearly not. But, of course, Leverkusen winning that one 3-2. Now a 10-point gap between those two teams. We won't be hearing about Dortmund in the title race in Germany this season. Like I said, there's a lot of cup this weekend. But we had a Premier League round of games last time around, which served up some very interesting talking points. But first of all, let's start with the Forest in the room. Nottingham, title contenders. Are we having a Leicester run here and we have just failed to recognize it?
Nah, no, not a Leicester run. Leicester was a one-off. Leicester got to the top and barely left at any point of the season. I don't think that's going to happen. But I think they've had a fantastic season. They've put away their chances. They've been very, very, very clinical with the chances they create, no matter how few. That front line of Chris Wood and Anthony Elanga and Gibbs White, and they've been incredible. They pace, they employ the finishing of Wood. They've been incredible.
The thing about, for me, that I've seen with Nottingham Forest is how they improve in the games that they play. There are games when you feel like they're a bit hard for them, and they sort of can't really negotiate them and get a result. But when they next play, they still come back with that fighting spirit of getting 3 points.
Of course, massive credit to Nuno, their manager. I think, for me, at this point of the season, him alongside Arne Slot are possibly the best managers so far this season. On a show where we've had a lot of Arsenal fans complain about their managers. But are they a Leicester? I thought the same about Leicester at this point. I thought they wouldn't make it. Of course, I have no confidence in Nottingham Forest. My worry for them is the pack slightly below them. They don't have enough. I mean, with everything said, Nottingham only has 6 points more than Man City. Can Man City get 7 points more than Nottingham between now and May? Of course, yes. So I don't think they're there yet, but they've been impressive. Defensively, I think only Liverpool, or I think only Arsenal have conceded fewer goals than Nottingham Forest this season.
Nottingham have considered the same as Liverpool.
Yeah, that's really impressive. And even their away form, if you can go to difficult places, go behind enemy lines and pick up points, of course you will do well. You look at Forest this season, in terms of playing away from home, they've already played away at Liverpool, away at Man City, away at Man United, away at Chelsea, and away at Arsenal. And they have the third best away record in the league.
They along with Newcastle are the informed teams in the Premier League right about now. Newcastle went and had beat Spurs at home. We expected that because of the sort of challenges that Spurs were having. Spurs go in midweek, go and have a cup game, go and sign a guy, I think on Sunday night or Monday, throw him straight in.
Yeah, Kinski.
So when Postecoglou, I think I laughed at him on the show earlier this season when I said he said he always wins things in his second stint, in his second season at any club. But this is just half time in this tie.
The Newcastle tie or the
Spurs tie?
It's for starters. You talked about Kinski, the new Spurs goalkeeper. He looks good. His passing was on point against Liverpool. He was basically just spraying passes around, having arrived at the club 48 hours before. But you're right. It's half time in the tie. But still, there are things to pick from there. For Liverpool, it's now a second. They get beat by Spurs. The week began by them drawing 2-2 at Old Trafford, a game maybe we'll talk about, but we thought they should, or we thought they would win. And you start to wonder, is this a slight blip in form or the inability to get results at a very crucial time? For Tottenham, two things. 1-0, it was a home win. I'm very sure when they go to Anfield, they are going to concede. For Tottenham, you pray when you go to Anfield, any draw, you qualify. I don't think they will draw at Anfield. I think they will get beat. So it's half time, but I wouldn't call this tie any other way. I would still call it in Liverpool's favour. The only advantage for Tottenham is the second legs, the return legs of the Carabao Cup semi-final are in February. And by that time, they will have Mickey van der Ven back. Romero would be back. It's a depleted squad, the Spurs squad. And 3-4 weeks from now, many of those people are coming back. But for me, I don't think that result is as significant as the other one in the other semi-final.
Right. For Spurs, their assignment is Tamworth. It used to be called Tamworth Castle. It was 1933. They stopped existing. That's their assignment. So Newcastle conquered them. Just keep rolling off result after result, and unfortunately for them now, Isaac.
Yeah, what do you mean unfortunately?
We are hearing about injury problems. That's not a shocker there. It happens all the time.
Yeah, Isaac gets hurt all the time.
It would be a massive.
But the return on investment when he's on the pitch, even if he plays only 60% of the matches of the season, he has done a lot more than 5 United players combined.
Massive blow if he gets out. He's been on fire. I think,
and remember how terrible they were before he came back from injury.
Yeah, of course, Callum Wilson is not as dependable, and Isaac is chasing that record. He is now scored, at least in the Premier League, in 7 consecutive Premier League games, which means he's 4 games off the consecutive games scored in record, which is held by Jamie Vardy, who took it from Ruud van Nistelrooy. So he's been on fire. Newcastle themselves have been on fire, especially against the big teams, from the 30th of December to the 7th of January. In a space of about 8 days, they went to Old Trafford, went to Spurs, even went to the Emirates and won in all those places. That victory against Arsenal in the Cup was their first win at the Emirates since 2010. And of course, it's a game that has got us talking about balls, what kind of ball does what, and all this stuff. I think taken a little bit. With all honesty, I've seen managers complain about referees, VAR, and all sorts of things. I've never had a complaint about a ball, but I think Arteta was taken out of context. However, there is a point to argue when it comes to balls. Now, people don't realize that some time back, different clubs used to use different footballs. You could find a club have a deal with Nike, so they play with a Nike ball, another club with I don't know which supplier. And the biggest defense you can put for Arteta is arguably the first ever famous football game. The first ever FIFA World Cup final was in 1930. That was between Argentina and Uruguay. And of course, all the teams had their different balls. So there was this debate for a while before the World Cup final itself. Whose ball do you use? Getting to the final game, the two teams decided that each half will use the other country's ball. In the first half, they used Argentina's ball. And at halftime, Argentina were leading 2-1. They had scored 2 goals with their ball. So at halftime, they changed and used Uruguay's ball. And in the second half, Uruguay scored 3 goals to 0. So Uruguay won the first ever World Cup 4-2, but they won their half. The half they used their ball 3-0. Argentina also won the half. They used the Argentina. So maybe Arteta has a case there.
And who can forget that swing? We were talking about the 2006 World Cup. Who can forget about that ball that was making all sorts of movements? You can ask famously, what's his name again? Former Arsenal goalkeeper?
Former Arsenal.
Ronaldinho, beaten by Ronaldinho from
David Seaman. But for Arsenal, though, that's it about Newcastle. But for Arsenal...
Oh, that was 2002.
2002, when Ronaldinho does that thing on him. But for Arsenal, these cup competitions should be priority. I mean, the league depends on what Liverpool do. The Champions League still has very many bad boys from all over the continent. The time Arteta has been Arsenal manager, the only trophy he has won is the FA Cup in 2020. Now, you feel like, just like many seasons, in a space of about a week or so, they have Man United this week. If United do them, the FA Cup is done. Newcastle, in my opinion, have already done them in the Carabao Cup.
Yeah.
So you feel like, just like every season, there is that 1 or 2 weeks where everything just
comes crumbling down.
I like how you specifically avoided talking about Newcastle in the coming weeks. Not Newcastle, Tottenham, because you can't trust Tottenham at all, right? All right. But yeah, Arsenal drawing with Brighton. I think when that game ended, everyone was saying Arsenal need a striker.
Yes, they need a striker. Before even getting to a striker, they need Havertz and Odegaard to hit top form. But also, when you're chasing, you're not the one being chased. When you're Arsenal chasing Liverpool, you score a second goal before Brighton equalize. I felt in that game, because Arsenal scored quite early, the time between Arsenal's goal and Brighton's goal, there is quite a mile in between. I felt Arsenal allowed Brighton to get an equalizer. If you get a second goal, the game is done. Whether you headbutt or not, it's so... And I've been watching them, and there are 2 things. Arsenal have changed. The first time Arteta challenged Manchester City, which is about 2 years ago or so, Arsenal are great to watch. They just have this ability to score 3, 4, even 5 goals here and there. But between then and now, they have gone so far away from what they were 2 years and maybe even a year ago. This team that would go and just get Bournemouth 4-0 to a team that relies heavily on how good their defense can be, rather than a team that goes and just sweeps the opposition off the park. Now they are heaping a lot of pressure on their defense to cover up the lack of their attacking ability. And I agree with you. They need to do something about their attacking ability. Now, this kid who just got in, Waneri, I understand is injured. Saka, of course, is still out. Those 2 have been playing the same position. Waneri coming in for Saka. You look at the transfer policy before this season, they let Smith Rowe go. None that is, but when you don't have Saka, you don't have Waneri.
Numbers.
You need numbers. You've let Smith Rowe go, you've let Nketiah go, you've let Fabio Vieira go.
I don't mind.
No, I do understand, but at this point, where in
depth is an issue.
Depth is a massive issue. Now, as you're letting those guys go, the guys you've brought in can't even get off the bench. Sterling is often left on the bench. I think they brought in...
I don't think Sterling even complains when he's left on. He's just enjoying picking up his salary.
We have to talk about Merino is not what we thought he would be. There is something about the transfer policy at Arsenal. They went up a bought.
It feels like in the last two windows.
For me,
I don't think they've improved. Of course, when you go as far back as Saliba and all that, they improved in that regard. But I don't know what they did in the last. Calafiori, I think this kid
the jury is
putting
still out.
in better shifts.
We've not seen him play.
The jury is still out.
Right?
I can't argue that their business before this season began in any department, including defense. I can't argue it made them stronger. So
how much of a bounce do United get in that game, though?
Newcastle United, Man United.
I'm saying Arsenal against United.
I think if Man United beat them, I don't know how Arsenal.
It's officially, Ward will officially be out on Arteta.
They will be out of all competitions in the same week.
Ward will officially be out on Arteta for sure.
A month ago, they beat Man United 2-0, courtesy of 2 set pieces. Otherwise, they had struggled to break down that Manchester United team. Of course, set pieces are part of the game. But if Man United beat them, then we are back. Deja vu.
What United showed that I couldn't. Were they City players wearing masks when somehow they?
The City players have not been
against Liverpool.
Yeah.
I think the outcry from the public eventually resonates.
I don't think so.
The pressure on them to perform like Manchester United players, I think eventually resonates. Now, unfortunately for them, it's not consistent. They will show up for one great game and then look like trash in the next.
You can't use emotions every time.
The problem is this. I don't think it's even public pressure or anything. Of course, most of us expected Liverpool to deal with United with ease, just go run over them. But Man United, before these performances show up in big games. The last time United had won a game before beating Liverpool was that comeback win against Man City when they came back and won 2-1. Otherwise, between Man City and Liverpool, they played teams which are obviously weaker than these two, and they lost 3 games in a row without even scoring a goal. So I wonder whether it's just an approach thing. When they see we are playing, I don't know, Everton, the mood in the camp is different from when you're playing Man City and when you're playing Liverpool, whether it's a motivation thing. And so I don't, the United that showed up is the one that showed up against City. The question then becomes, can that Man United show up over and over again? And by the way, against Liverpool, they should have beat Liverpool.
Yeah, Maguire had the opportunity to beat Liverpool.
You can blame Maguire.
There were opportunities also before that.
You can blame...
Even Bruno had a shot on goal that should have been targeted.
I'm just looking at the last incident.
Oh, the last incident.
You can blame Maguire, you can blame Zaxi, you can decide to blame Amorim. And for me, I will blame Amorim a bit. The game before Liverpool, Amorim takes off Zaxi in the first half. I think 30th minute or something of that sort.
It was quite an embarrassing.
Yeah. This is the kind of thing that brings a player's confidence.
Actually, one was just joined the club.
So low. A young player that has just joined the club. And fast forward,
Phil Jones nearly had a fight at United when they took him off.
About that incident, Amorim couldn't look Zaxi in the eye.
But Zaxi.
Sorry.
I don't know who told Zaxi to run down he ran down the tunnel. I think he didn't want to be on the bench. I don't know who inside there told him go back.
And the thing is this kid in the next game, in the final minute against Liverpool at Anfield,
he has a chance to shoot and pass it.
Of course, his confidence is low. I will tell you, one of the things about the greatest finishers is no one can pass that ball.
At that time,
but you broke him down the last time he had the game to the extent that he thinks chances of scoring that are higher if he passes it to Harry Maguire. Of course, Harry Maguire, I don't think in that moment he has the composure to say, whoever is behind me is better than me. Let me skip it. Let me damn it. Let me let it go through my ball.
Or let me stop it and shoot. Because he was at the penalty spot alone.
The fact is, United could have won that game. But for Liverpool, though, because, of course, they let an opportunity slip. Arsenal had dropped points 24 hours before. You have to look at them and... They are involved in the FA Cup. They play Accrington Stanley. After that, they go away to Nottingham Forest, which already beat them at Anfield this year. So they keep giving these opportunities for Arsenal and whoever is willing to get back into the league. A lot of talk and blame for Trent Alexander-Arnold. Defensively, I don't think he has ever been one of the best defenders ever.
Do you think his mind really is still at Liverpool, given the events of the last few weeks?
I don't think he's going to deliberately say, let me go and make Man United beat us. But what he used to offer the club is defensively wasn't the best. But what he would offer going forward would cover up for his defensive inabilities. However, I watched him properly against Manchester United. Defensively, terrible. On the ball, terrible. Going forward, offering close to nothing. So, Pius, I think, is not there.
So, City went ahead and beat West Ham 4-1. The whole managerial change has happened there. Graham Potter is in. The thing up to the end of the season, maybe. I think then they add him another. I think he signed 18 months, if I'm not mistaken.
He got beat already by Aston Villa in the cup in his first game.
Aston Villa wearing a black number last night. Well, his former side Chelsea, believing their manager, I guess. 1-1 with Crystal Palace. I guess a mirror of game week, what? Was it 1 or something?
I mean... The goals have dried up. This is a team that was scoring goals for fun, Chelsea. All of a sudden, Nicholas Jackson is struggling to score.
But the thing that has come up, I think, among the criticisms from Maresca in that spell is he's struggling to make changes. He might wait up to the 80th, 70th minute. This was a man who was making quick changes, 53.
Yeah, of course, he's struggling to make changes, but also these are games they were putting to bed. At some point.
But he also has injuries.
Because they've now not won any of their last 4 games. Yeah. They've basically picked up 2 points from games against Fulham, Everton, Ipswich, and Crystal Palace. That can't just be down to making changes.
And they're in search.
These are games they were burying before.
Yeah. What is that? They're searching for defenders. Will he do the job, you think?
At Everton, I don't know. The first time Everton...
Is Big Sam available also somewhere?
They've had him before. That's the problem with Everton. The first time Moyes was unveiled at Everton was 2002. That is 23 years ago. And they're unveiling him again as their next manager. They have been a bit... Everton have been a bit poor, in my opinion, in terms of management recruitment. For surviving the Premier League, Sean Dyche doesn't seem awkward. But it's now Moyes. Before Moyes, it was Sean Dyche. Before that, it was Frank Lampard. People forget that he had almost relegated them. Now, this is a club that a few years ago had Ancelotti, who was replaced by Benitez. So clearly there is a dip in the quality of manager. However, David Moyes, when he walks into Everton, he doesn't need any introduction. Maybe because it's in the middle of the season, they needed a manager that can walk in and just get going from day one. And it doesn't surprise you that they're hiring a dog is going back to eat its own vomit.
Darren Ferguson, by the way, pissing off Everton fans by refusing to play. Ashley Young's.
Did you hear his interview after?
No, I didn't.
He said, we are not a charity case. I'm trying to win a game. At the time, they wanted me to bring in the kid. We were up down 1-0.
But when they went to kneel down, he should have brought him on.
Exactly, but the guy was adamant. It sounds like his father. We are not a charity case.
Bias, before we go, there was someone who asked about Manchester City. Just briefly, I don't remember what that was. And whether they could get back into
the title race.
In terms, it's about shifting goalposts. I don't think Man City's goal anymore is to win the Premier League. I think their goal should be finishing top 4. By the way, this year top 5 might be enough to go to the Champions League. Now, Man City are just 4 points away from Arsenal, who are second. I mean 6 points away from Arsenal, who are second. And I strongly believe they can get 6 points more than Arsenal between now and May. My problem for Man City one, they are starting to get solutions. Savino all of a sudden looks like fire. They are buying everything that can kick a ball in a straight line. Already we have some players, I think Mamouche, that transfers over the line. Yeah. That my problem for them is their fixtures. When you look at City's Premier League fixtures, their next two are Brentford and Ipswich. But after the Ipswich game, Man City's next fixtures in order are Chelsea, Arsenal, Newcastle, Liverpool, Tottenham, Nottingham Forest. In order. Basically, they play Chelsea, then they play Arsenal, then they play Newcastle, then they play Liverpool, then they play Tottenham. And I think after that, we can answer that question better.
All right. We'll do this again next Saturday. Have yourselves a very lovely weekend. Mueraba.